All right. So what we're going to do today, instead of a formal training, is we're actually going to do a live Q&A. Just, ask me anything apartment investing related, whether it's passive investing or working on becoming a general partner and getting into your first deal or your next deal. So the way we'll do this is go ahead and just submit your questions through the chat or just send them to me, um, and we'll go through it that way. So I appreciate you guys who are joining in. And let's see here. We've got our first question here. The question is, what are the best strategies to raise capital for a multifamily deal, especially if you don't have a large personal network yet? I love that question for multiple reasons. Um, First off, I think raising capital is tough, mostly because it's a something that people haven't had to ever learn is really asking people for money. It's a combination of marketing and sales, and it's common that you go to your friends and family first to raise capital. But here's what I've learned. The most effective way to raise capital is to actually know how much capital you can raise. So I'm going to say that a little bit different. When I did my first deal trying to raise capital, I had gone to networking events and I collected a lot of business cards and over a couple of years, and I had those in my database. I hadn't really been sending out emails. I hadn't been nurturing anybody. Um, and where I tried to raise capital was actually outside of my personal network. And I thought to myself, well, I've met these people, I've got their business cards. I'll send them an email and the money's just going to come pouring in. And it didn't happen at all. I think I only got one person to invest in the deal. Fortunately, my partners were able to make up for that, the rest of the money that we needed to raise capital for. But here's the what I learned through that was, my capital raising ability sucked, but it's because I didn't know what I was doing. Um, and then chatting with my partners who were able to raise multiple millions of dollars, I said, it just takes time. It takes a lot of time. So what I set out to do was, how do I get better at raising capital? And I know this question is about, your large personal network. Um, so what I learned was how to structure a capital raising process. So rather than just going to somebody and saying, "Hey, I'm in multifamily investing. Would you like to invest? It's $50,000. People like make a lot of money." I created a process I can follow. Very specifically, here's the process. I made a list of the people, even if it's a small personal network. So I'm going to tell you first your personal network, and then I'll tell you how to get outside of your personal network. So the way you're going to raise capital is number one, you're going to make a list of all the people that you know who would take a phone call from you. So you're going to go through your phone, you're going to go through emails, you're going to go through social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, um, Instagram. You're going to go through any place you can come up with a contact. Like maybe it's church, maybe it's work, so, the people who you can make a contact with. So you're going to make a list of those people. Then you're going to reach out to them and you're going to tell them, "Hey, reaching out to you because I'm starting in multifamily investing, or I've been doing this for a little while, and I want to share how this works, and I would love to get your feedback." Because what you need at the beginning is you truly need feedback. So let me frame it up this way. The with something new, anything you've ever done that's new, it's not hard or it's not easy. It's hard. And the best way that you can perfect it is to do it over and over and over and over and over again. Anything you've learned is to do over and over and over through repetition. And you know that take basketball for example, or soccer, whatever sport it is. But if you're standing at the free throw line, shooting, you've got several shots you're going to make that aren't ever going to make it in. But then you've got some that do make it in, and then you learn from the times that make it in, like what did you do? How did you make that successful? And then you repeat that. So the reason why I segue there is what you need to do is this is why I really like starting out with your personal network is you need to practice with them and you want their feedback. So don't be scared to get that feedback. So create that list of people who you can reach out to that'll give you feedback. Then you reach out to them and you ask them, hey, can you give me feedback on this? And you'll find a lot of people will do it. They might not invest with you, but they'll do it. Then, then the next thing you do is when you get them on that call, you need to have something to walk them through. So I would say create a pitch deck. The pitch deck that I started with was very long. There was probably, I don't know, 20 slides, and I went into a whole bunch of details about how multifamily investing works. And the feedback I got was it's too much information. I just need the high points. And so that was important for me to learn. And so my slide deck that I cover when I meet with people, when I do that type of outreach, it's pretty short actually. There's a title slide, I have a pain point slide, I have a problem slide, and then I have a scenario slide. And so it's if you were to invest this much, what would it look like? What would your returns look like? What would your capital, cash flow versus your capital gains look like? And then I have a best case, worst case, and most likely scenario. And then the only other thing I have after that is how the tax advantages work. So, recapping here, you're going to do create your list of people. You're going to reach out to them. You're going to ask for feedback. You're going to get them on a call. You can do one-on-one if you want, but you can get them on a call. Then, once you get them on that call, you need to have something to show them. So that's where you have a pitch deck that it's very simple. Use the things that I mentioned. And then at the end of that call, what you do is you say, okay, I got you on this call. I appreciate your time. Can I get your feedback? And you really truly want their feedback. What was good? What was bad? And then they'll give you the feedback. And then you say, do you know anybody who might be interested in investing? And what you're hoping for is they'll say, yeah, I'm interested in investing. And if they do, then you gather their information. How much would you like to invest? When did I meet you? Capture that information, then save it. Um, if they don't, or whether they do or don't, then you ask for, do you know anybody who you think might be interested in this or who might be a good fit to give me feedback? So the reason why I start there, even though the question is about if you don't have a large personal network, is because you need to start with your personal network. Don't worry about how big or small it is. Don't roll people out to say, I don't think they can invest. They won't be able to, because even their opinion might be valuable. And you're going to get practice meeting people who are very interested, not interested. You can start overcoming objections. So then once you've got that, you're going to build some confidence, some comfort. You're going to refine your process in asking people to raise capital. From there, the next step, you don't have a large personal network. You've got to go create a bigger network. How do you do that? So you go to networking events and you meet people, and they might be real estate networking events. They might be a church networking event, whatever type of event it is. You can go out and meet people. And then when they ask you what you do, you tell them what you do. And then you just can't be afraid to say, hey, if you're open to it, we can hop on a quick call and I can show you how it works. No pressure, so you have to start with your personal network. You have to build that structure and how that works. Once you've got that level of comfort, then you're going to be way more comfortable getting outside of your personal network and and talking to them. So for example, I was, doing a Christmas event with my mom the other day, and there was a number of people that go to her church. And someone asked me what I do, and I said, I do apartment investing. I help people create passive income through investing in apartments. Conversation goes on a little bit more, and I was able to say, hey, if you're interested in learning more, I've got a couple, videos you can watch, and go ahead and watch those videos, and then we'll hop on a call. And so because I've done this conversation so many times, it was very easy for me to do that. But had it been the first time this person asked me and I just didn't even start my personal network, I got out of it, I wouldn't have that level of confidence. So um, just to do a repeat on that, even if you have a small personal network, you want to start there. You're going to find out everybody that you can think you can get on a phone call, ask them to get on a phone call, to give you some feedback. You're going to show them how it works. You're going to give them a simplistic overview. Don't kill them with details. They just solve their pain point. What is their pain point? Probably they want to make more money. They want to retire sooner. Solve that pain point. How can you do that? Because they don't care if it's investing in oil, investing in crypto, flipping houses. They don't really care like what the vehicle is. What they care is how can it solve their problem. So show them how you can solve their problem in their slide deck. They get to the end of it, see if they're interested in investing or if they know anybody who is, and get their feedback from there. Then you're going to go out and network. The other thing you can do is you can create lead magnets, which work well. And a lead magnet is an ebook, it is a video, it is a webinar, but then you have to be able to drive traffic to that lead magnet. So a lead magnet in and of itself doesn't solve anything for you. It's a tool that you use in the marketing process. So, all right. Well, I appreciate that question. Let's see if we got any more questions in the chat here. Okay, next question here. What inspired you to leave corporate America and focus on multifamily investing? Was there a specific turning point for you? That's a great question as well.
If you're enjoying the podcast and want to fast track your way to becoming a full-time real estate entrepreneur, then join the Multifamily Mastery Hub on School. You'll get access to our educational course library, live trainings, live interviews, and a community dedicated to helping you succeed. Visit school.com/multifamily mastery hub. That's SKOOL.com/multifamily mastery hub and fast track your way to becoming a full-time real estate entrepreneur today.
What inspired me to leave corporate America was I'd been in the space for, I don't know, probably going on 20 years. And I was lacking a lot of fulfillment in corporate America. And what was hard for me is as I was climbing the corporate ladder, every time I got a little bit higher in the corporate ladder, the pay raise that came along with it was nothing amazing. I mean, I was making good money, but it was not huge. But what came with it was more stress and responsibility. And along the way in corporate America, I saw several mergers, acquisitions that happen, and lots of good people really they got let go. Hey, merger acquisition, guess what? We don't need you anymore. And so all the stability that, I saw people thought they had in their jobs, and then they're like posting online, oh, I got let go, or, close friends I had in corporate America, oh, I got let go. Um, it didn't really sit well with me. So I really started building an exit plan. And so you take the combine that I wasn't super fulfilled, and I saw there wasn't the security that I thought there was. The ability to go into multifamily and make an impact for the investors, the people in the community that live in the apartment complexes, that's cool. I get to work with people, much more closely and individually, and that provides a lot of fulfillment, satisfaction. And then in my coaching is helping people see them be successful as well. So there's a lot of fulfillment and growth that happens, just by leaving that. You leave this comfort zone of being in corporate America and then you go in full time into multifamily. There are good days and bad days, but there's a lot of fulfillment that happens with that. Was there a specific turning point for you along with that? There actually was. So I had, over the time I was in corporate America, I had a team, was probably as large as like 50 people or so, and I was, active in multifamily at the time. And then when I left, the department I was responsible for was probably about 20 people. Um, and so I had that team in corporate America I was responsible for. Plus I had my partners, and I had a couple of my own employees. And I remember this moment where um, I was not showing up at my best for my partners. I was not showing up at my best for my employees. I was not showing up at my best for the people that I worked with, the people that I was leading at work. And that's not really who I want to show up as. So because I'd been able to focus on, building this business and scaling and getting out of corporate America, and I was trying to do all of it. And fold into that as I was doing all that, it was pulling time away from my family. Um, I wasn't giving 100% anywhere, and that's not who I am. So that's when I knew it was really time for me to make that transition. Is I had built the business over here in multifamily. I had money coming in. I had money coming in from corporate America, which was good. I had money coming in two places, but man, I was spread too thin. So my decision to really jump into multifamily, like the turning point for me was just when I had stability from creating the multifamily business, but when I wasn't the person I wanted to be. So then I just went all in a multifamily. It was scary at first, but I did it, and it's been great ever since I've done it. So that's why I made that transition out of multifamily or out of corporate America into multifamily. All right, let's see if we've got any more questions here. All right, what's one mistake you made early in your investing journey that taught you an important lesson? Man, there's how many mistakes have I made? So I'll frame it up that way. You're gonna make mistakes along the way, and embrace the fact that you're gonna make mistakes. My first mentor in multifamily, he had this expression is ready, fire, aim, which means just take action. Just take massive action. Because it's really easy to get caught up in analysis paralysis where you're like, I'm waiting for the right moment, I'm waiting for the right deal, I'm waiting for the right partners. And you have all these limiting beliefs that are really holding you back. So I don't know that it's like one mistake. It's the one mistake that I had is that I was holding myself back, and I had to learn to be okay with making multiple mistakes along the way so that I could grow and turn into the person I wanted to be. But I'll share with you over the last couple of years, 2.5, almost 3 years now, multifamily investing has been pretty tough. Not a whole lot of deals, but more specifically, as the deals that we got into in 2022, late 2021 and 2022, deals were purchased at the peak, the most expensive, and they were bought with variable rate debt with a very low interest rate, and then the interest rate went up significantly, and it's made it very hard to cash flow those properties. So where am I going with all of that? Is what I learned in underwriting. If there's one like specific takeaway, is what I learned in underwriting is it's really a game of controlling variables, and you need to control as many of those variables as you can. Like, what is your rent increase possibly going to look like? What are your expenses potentially going to look like? What is your other income potentially going to look like? And most of those that I just listed are can be they're variables, but most of them are relatively small variables, and they accumulate. All those stack up together. But the ability for the interest rate to change drastically was a variable that we just didn't account for. And so the lesson learned is understand that everything you're underwriting is a variable, and you need to control that as much as possible with a high point and a low point, and lock that in because you have to stress out your deals when you're underwriting. And so you have to every component you've got to stress out, and you have to imagine that everything's stressed, what would happen with that deal. So that's probably the major lesson. But once again, it's made me a better owner and operator. Um, okay, let's do we got one more question, and this is how do you stay motivated and keep a growth mindset, especially during challenging times? So we'll piggyback off of the last example here. Um, Challenging times. The last couple of years have been extremely challenging. Not a lot of deal flow, not a whole lot of opportunities to get into new deals. Multiple owners have lost their properties, and investors have lost all their money in deals. Um, it's been really, 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 really hard. And how do I stay motivated? I know that on the other side of every challenge and obstacle, if I allow myself the opportunity to work through it, I will be better and stronger on the other side of it. So I have learned to embrace the suck. Um, because if you've ever seen the diagram of the comfort zone and where you're uncomfortable and where you get growth, if you hang out in your comfortable spot too long, you never really get where you want to be. We've got one shot at this life. And I think we should all be trying to max it out. And the only way you're going to be able to really max it out is if you get uncomfortable. So when I hit those challenging times, what I've learned that feeling inside you where you're very uncomfortable, that when I feel that way, I know that's where I'm supposed to be. And instead of like when I get that really uncomfortable feeling, instead of like backing away and turning away from it and pushing it, ooh, get away from me. I don't like you. Um, I lean in and I embrace it and I hang out in that spot and I learn from it and I say, what is it that makes me uncomfortable about this? What can I learn in this moment that will make me more resilient in the future so that the next time I'm here, I know how to handle this? Because the more I can deal with all those tough situations, the better I'm going to be, the faster I can grow, the more challenges I can take on. And that's ultimately where I want to be is to, not when these headwinds are coming, oh, I've been there, I've seen that, I know how to deal with that. I've been there, I've seen that, I know how to deal with that. So it's really the question is how do you stay motivated and keep a growth mindset? You just have to adopt the growth mindset. And the growth mindset is learning opportunities. Um, my wife and I listen to audiobooks a lot while we're driving, and oftentimes it's about raising our children. And there's a book we listen to that's all about the growth mindset and applying it to children. There's this example that the author cites where a child has signed up for sports. I can't remember what sport it is, but they signed up for a sport. And at the end of it, they give the example of if the child doesn't, earn the trophy or earn first place, whatever it is, how do you handle that situation? And, there's a limited mindset and there's a growth mindset. So I'm going to give you both examples. If you're in that situation and that happens and the child doesn't get the trophy, doesn't get the first place, but it's the first time they've ever gone through it, the first time they ever joined the soccer team, the basketball team, whatever it is, you can say, you know what, don't worry about it. It's not that big a deal. Um, you know what, you did a great job. I think you earned it. And you can try to like prop up their self-esteem. And that I'm not going to say that that's bad. That's one way to do it. But what I'm learned to do for myself and for my children is to tell them, and it might sound a little bit rough, but to tell them, hey, like you're just started this. That person that got first place, the team that won the trophy, they've been doing this for longer than you. They've worked hard at this. The reality of it is you haven't earned this yet. Where they've been doing this for 3, 4, 5 years, and you just started. They've been putting in the time to get there, and that's really the growth mindset. I'll give you one more example, and then we'll go ahead and close out the call. My son, a very shy kid, he when he was little, kindergarten age, we put him in soccer and he hated it. He would stand on the field and he would actually cry. He just did not want to be there. But we knew that we couldn't just say, okay, it's fine, don't worry, don't do anything. So we would put him into different things. He said, I'll do golf. So we signed him up for golf. And the first day of golf, I was out of town for work. My wife called me and said, hey, he's in the car. He won't get out. He doesn't want to do golf. So this is the mindset I'm dealing with as a kid who's just, super afraid to do this. And I said, put him on the phone. And he gets on the phone and I say, Pablo, buddy, um, look, I know this is scary. I know it's a big thing. If you don't want to play today, that's fine. But you said you wanted to do this. Here's what I need you to do. I just need you to get out of the car. I just need you to go over there and hang out. And when you're ready, you can move forward. So maybe I said a few other things, but anyways, so got him out of the car. My wife got him over there, and eventually he got in with the group. And so the baby steps, right? We had to take him from one place. We had to like really challenge him to grow and just put him in uncomfortable situations because you don't want a child to grow up that way and just always be shying away from opportunities because it's too scary. We said, nope, we need to continually put him in a situation where he's uncomfortable so we can learn to navigate it. So that was, first grade. Now fast forward, he's in fourth grade. And this year he's done cross country, and most recently he signed up for wrestling. And for a child who started, that way in soccer, very shy, very timid person, didn't even want to get out of the car to go play golf, um, sign up for wrestling. I'm like, who is this kid? And I'm like, hey man, you signed up for wrestling. And he said, yeah, you know what? I want to challenge myself. It's going to be good for me. I'm going to grow. And I'm like, oh man, this is great. And I remember going to his first wrestling match and he didn't win. And he said, you know what, but I tried. And he said, I'm gonna try harder next time. Went to the second wrestling match and he didn't win again. And he said, you know what? I did a lot better this time. I think it clicked for me. Like I gotta, work a lot harder at this. And so he's got another wrestling match today. We'll see how that works out. But he has learned that failure is nothing permanent. It is just a moment in time, and there's opportunity to learn from that and grow from it. And had I not pushed myself as hard as I have, I wouldn't be able to share, the coaching with him and to help him through those situations. So not only has, pushing that helped me, but it's helped me be a better father, a better husband, a better partner, a better coach, so that I know what it's like to be uncomfortable, but I also know that you can learn to not be so uncomfortable. So, anyways, that's a very long answer to how do I stay motivated and keep a growth mindset. I just have adopted a growth mindset. So, all right, folks. Well, I appreciate you tuning in. For those of you in the Multifamily Mastery Hub, I will post this recording for you. I might even put something out if you're not in the Multifamily Mastery Hub. I might actually put this out on YouTube for you, and then we'll also chop this up and we'll put this into some content out there on social media. So appreciate you guys showing up. Great questions today. We do this every other week. Actually, we're not going to do it the week of New Year's, so we'll pick this back up in January. So great questions today. Show up with more questions. Anything you want to do, underwriting, capital raising, scaling, growing, hiring people, whatever it is, bring those questions. Appreciate it. And I will talk to you guys in the next couple weeks. Thanks.